You can't stop Bobby. He's crazy. This is the thing I used to do in high school. It actually came up. Uh, Hilariously, my idiot friend Taco, that dumbass I keep talking about. I was playing Super Smash Brothers Melee. They have these challenge levels. One of the challenge levels, you take on Ganondorf, Mewtwo, and Giga Bowser. And I was getting my ass handed to me, and in between there, he just randomly was like, "You can't stop Bobby, he's crazy!" And something about that gave me an adrenaline boost, and I ended up beating the challenge for the first time. Link was my main back in Super Smash Brothers Melee. But that is also something I used to scream when things weren't going my way. I was a real dick in high school. I walked around talking like Ed and terrorizing people, giving out hugs, and just being obnoxious, like 24/7, obnoxious, crazy, lunatic, all the time. Yeah. And if I ever got into anything like a fight or something, or I was really terrified, I would do that. And I had convinced myself for the 10 minutes after I did that, nothing could stop me. Yeah. The arm flapping thing is hilarious because it sounds like a bird. That actually came from Taco's friend, this guy. He's a skater dude. I'm just going to call him Caleb. He used to make fun of Taco and call him Birdman. He'd be like, quack, quack, Birdman, Birdman, and he would do that shit. And it sounded like, if you do that fast enough, it literally sounds like a bird flapping its wings. I kid you not. One time I was dicking around in class and just seeing how fast I could do that. And literally there were teachers in the hallway that thought there was like a bird in the classroom. Because it was just flapping my arms up as fast as I could. When I was in middle school, we played Battle Ball, and in Battle Ball, it's basically dodgeball, but when the coach yelled free throw line, the kids on the other side could approach the free throw line to the basketball court. And basically, it would just turn into a slaughter fest. Everybody would get up against the wall and get scared, and then people would start throwing the balls, and it's a massacre. And you do it because the game's almost over. Most of the kids are out anyways. So he did that one time, and I call them wall huggers. They ran back against the wall, and everybody runs up to the free throw line. They start chucking the soft foam balls and shit. And I would grab 2 balls and just scream, "You can't stop Bobby, he's crazy," and I'd run out with the balls and start throwing them, and a couple times, almost cartoonishly, there would be like 10, 15, 20 kids on the other team running straight at him and screaming. Hilariously made people back up, and I don't know if it's instinctive, that's something that's just wired into people's brains, but screaming and running forward, playing Battle Ball, and it literally, people would start running from you. I would throw both balls, get 2 people out, and because I was still running forward, they would retreat. I'm reminded of, they say like, cats and dogs, dogs chase cats because cats run away, okay? If you've ever seen a cat just stand its ground or ignore a dog, the dog almost seemingly doesn't know what to do. Our dog, Ranger in Georgia, was so accustomed to chasing this cat called Fluffy Cat that that she would always run, and then one day she just sat down and he started doing that dog thing where he puts his ass in the air and he starts bucking at her and he started snapping at her and trying to scare her, and she just didn't respond to any of his behaviors. And she's like an adult to a child, "You're being immature," and eventually he just he did this breathe out like noise. We call it the noise of disapproval. Just noise of disapproval, and laid down and gave up because she didn't feel like being chased that day. I don't know. Animals are animals. They communicate through body language, so there's only so much you can tell about how they're communicating. Yeah. So this was a thing I did, and a big chunk of it is loosely based in chaos theory. Chaos theory being, even if something seems absolute, like, remember so many people, I don't know, like, talking to me like I'm some wise monk when I'm just a Bob, you know? They would approach me and I would give them, they'd ask about advice, and my number one thing was chaos theory. I almost forgot for a long time where I got the whole thing from, but it was actually Jurassic Park. Because Ian Malcolm, I thought he was a rock star, but he was actually a chaostician, and it was like elementary school when somebody explained that to me, because I was an idiot. I think it was my brother told me about what a chaostician was and how chaos theory worked. And that fed into me wanting to apply the idea that you can create so much chaos, you could change the outcome of any inevitable situation. If you acted out enough, you could make the water so muddy. And Republicans kind of do it where they shit throw. They accuse the other party of what they're doing, which is probably the weakest tactic ever. And that's why we need fucking truthers to stop these people from fucking lying. Because lying seems to be the number one fucking thing to do in politics when you're a loser. But well, I'm not going to get into that. The ability to scream that and then just do whatever. And even in high school, I kid you not, I pissed off these people. They were, oh, we're gonna kill him and all this other shit. There was this other group of weirdos that came in and they wanted me to sign a literal legal document, and I was only like 16. No idea. I just told them, I'm not signing that. And we got into a fight. They threatened to kill me. And I just screamed, "You can't stop Bobby. He's crazy." And that got the attention to everybody, including the teachers. And these two full-grown men backed up and walked out. And they didn't know how to deal with what happened. And then one of them approached me later. I screamed it again, and then I jumped at him and I headbutted him. And once I headbutted him and he went down, he started screaming. Like, this is a full-grown man. Started screaming and crying like a child because he wasn't getting his way. And I couldn't believe, like, these guys, full-grown men, and then they just disappeared. I have no idea to this day. No idea who those people were. Even Stu, yes, Stu tried to murder my ass, and I fucking screamed, "You can't stop Bobby, he's crazy," and then just immediately squared up and started swinging at him. No idea what I was doing, I just went for it. Surprisingly, Stu had no clue what to do. He freaked out, screamed, cried, threw a tantrum, he wasn't getting his way, and then fucking left. It is amazing how when you break the control, how fast you see this creature turn into a screaming child. Like, "I'm not getting my way, mommy, like, it's just, and it's funny because they have a thing. I remember Stu was like, "The world is soft," and then this guy's throwing a tantrum because you hurt his feelings. Talk about soft. Easily offended, super ultra effeminate man wants to tell you that you need to be ham, like, not cool. I had an entire, when we were in middle school, we had to write scripts for movies that we thought would be cool, and I ended up writing a kind of like script for Jurassic Park. It was straightforward. I had a thing for zombie dinosaurs. I thought that would be cool because zombies were kind of cool. Like the Flood in Halo was kind of cool, so I wanted to do like zombie dinos, you know. And I wanted to, like, I had this idea, like, the dinosaurs were going all zombie-fied, and they needed to go to, like, the Jurassic Park island and get, like, dinosaur blood to cure the zombie dinos. And, like, find, like, the ones that were immune to the disease or whatever, and they'd end up, at some point, Ian Malcolm and his son would end up in a cave with, like, other people, and they'd be trapped in there by a T-Rex trying to murder their asses, and he'd be, like, shoving his head into the cave and, like, snapping at them, and then, like, they'd be like, "Oh, okay," and then the T-Rex would pull its head out, and they'd be like, "Okay, he's gone. We're gonna sneak out." And then, like, you know, the red shirt of the group, the guy with the gun and shit that's gonna end up dead, he'd like walk out to like the mouth of the cave and be like, okay guys, it's clear. Then the T-Rex would come back and snatch his ass up, and he'd get in there and start flailing his legs around like the T-Rex was just like a dog with a bone. And fucking, blood and gore, and Ian Malcolm and all the other people in the cave would start screaming in horror as this T-Rex is like eating this guy, mauling him to death, like point blank. And like then the T-Rex would pull its head out, and then Ian would be like, his son would walk forward, and he'd be like, stop, it's waiting for us, it's a hunter, it knows that we have to leave this cave. And, there'd be this whole, like, dark, like, oh, the absolution that this T-Rex has the complete control of the situation, and kind of shit. And then Ian Malcolm's son would be like, Dad, and you look at him, and his son would just start throwing rocks in the cave and dancing and jumping around. And he'd be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's, chaos theory, Dad. Chaos theory. No, that's not chaos theory. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then the other people would like look at his son and start laughing. And then they join in and start throwing dirt in the air and leaves and shit and debris. And then the T-Rex would come in and try to grab his son. He'd get too close to the mouth of the cave. And the T-Rex's head would get in there, and there'd be like blood, and that guy's like, lower half still hanging out of the T-Rex's mouth, just because that would be awesome. And the T-Rex like smashing its head around in the cave, and then its nostrils would suck in the dirt that was thrown in the air. It would sneeze, hit its head on the roof of the cave, and pass out or get knocked out. And then they would sneak past the T-Rex, and his son would be like, "See, Dad, chaos theory, chaos theory." And his dad would be like, "Son, don't ever do that again." Like, if you ever do that again. I just thought that would be funny. But yeah. Yeah, so the origins of me screaming, "You can't stop Bobby, he's crazy," came from my idiot friend Taco. Probably one of the only good things he ever did in his life, I bet. And his other friend, the skater guy, Caleb, who used to make fun of Taco because he looked like a bird by flapping his hands. And I fused those two together to create, I guess you would call it a haka, because it's literally something I did. It was my battle cry before another occasion. Is this guy named Kenny at my school wanted to fist fight me. He took some MMA lessons. He wanted to fist fight me. He had a problem with me. To this day, I still don't know what that was about. And I did it. I did the "You can't stop Bobby, he's crazy," and I ran at him, and I got him in an aerial guillotine. Yeah, I jumped into the air, hooked him around the head, and then basically bulldogged him into the concrete. He was knocked out when we both slammed down on his head. My body weight around his neck, his head into the concrete. He was gone, and I kept choking him after that. I nearly killed him. And I was singing "Go to Sleep, My Little Baby" as I was fucking choking him out with the guillotine. Oh, man. Yeah, good times, right? The stupid shit you do as a kid, man. Oh, dude. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I did that a lot. Even, one of my funnier moments of wasting the power of "You can't stop Bobby, he's crazy," was this girl I had a crush on. She was a blonde haired, green eyed girl. She's Scottish. In high school, and all the shit in the world, I wasn't scared as shit in high school. I had to think about not letting fear make my decisions, and whenever it did, I'd get pissed off. That was just my way. That's how I do. Alright. So, I had a crush on this girl, and part of actually opening up to a girl in high school and being genuine involves being vulnerable. I couldn't be vulnerable with people. Yep. Something about being assaulted and beaten and, like, my parents just completely ignoring all my needs no matter what resulted in me failing to be able to connect with this girl. And I remember getting really upset that I couldn't do it. I knew there was something wrong. And, every high school kid is insecure. Look. Here's the fastest way to find out if somebody you know is a fucking imbecile. Okay? Ask them if they were a smart kid. Ask them if they were a smart kid. And if they go, I was a smart kid, they're a dumb adult. Okay? Because there are no smart kids. You come into the world, your brain's not fully developed, you make bad decisions, you're impulsive, you don't know how to process your emotions. There's a series of skills, experiences, they call it being wise, and intelligence. That all comes later. Everybody is a stupid kid. I do not care what their achievements were as a child. They could cure fucking cancer. It doesn't matter. They're a stupid kid. Okay. This is one of the biggest factors I find in an adult and an emotionally stunted adult. Emotionally stunted adults will always try to convince you, no matter what, they were a smart kid. Okay. When I was a kid, I loved creating things, which made me seem intelligent. I loved taking, dude, in my neighborhood, because we're poor as shit, I would find garbage and I would build shit out of garbage. I'd build like fucking vehicles and all matter of bizarre things. Remember this one time I was kind of experimenting with like a like discarded like fucking air compressor, some shit, whatever it was. It ended up blowing the lid off the thing, and it had all these parts, and it flew into this guy's yard, and the guy came out and saw the thing there, and I just ran. I didn't know what to do. I ran and hid, and I was watching this guy come out, and he was looking at the compressor thing, whatever, the metal garbage that fell at his yard, and he thought it was like a UFO or something. He came out terrified of this garbage that I blew into his yard because I was being an idiot. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just fucking about, which is what you do when you're bored. Normal people do when they're bored. Lunatics, like Stu, murder people and terrorize people because they're weird. But these things have always just kind of been in my nature, I think. Yeah. I never really actually... I ended up, like, threatening the green-eyed girl, because I didn't feel like I could connect with her in a meaningful way. And I was angry. You're a kid. These things happen when you're a child. Okay, you think like a fucking imbecile. And other idiots, like if they know conditional love, holy shit, they just pretend to be somebody they're not, and then they waste years of somebody else's life because these losers' parents didn't fucking love them. Okay, like holy shit. Fucking conditional love is probably the most toxic form of fucking manipulation and control that was ever fucking created. I'm glad I never wasted my time with that, but I guess I don't know how you would call it. I literally went up on stage in high school and spoke in front of people. That's not a joke. Speaking in public never fucking fazed me. A bunch of things people would say is confidence. I never... Confidence, I literally just believed was made up. I never accepted it as a reality. Possibly until about a year ago. Yeah. I just did or didn't. And I didn't really care about the consequences or any of the other shit. And I had situational awareness, so I would know if something was a good or bad idea to some extent. I got really good at situational awareness. This made me extremely difficult for even teachers to deal with because I just knew better. An example is, I had got the shit kicked out of me. I got beaten as a kid. So teachers threatening me with putting me in detention or all this other shit didn't fucking scare me. The worst thing you could fucking do is put hands on me. And that happened a lot because of how I acted. And I got into fist fights. And when people beat my ass, I just kind of accepted it as a reality because I had it coming, trust me. If you knew me in high school, you knew I had it coming. Okay? Yeah. Just that. I guess there's only one thing to say. You can't stop Bobby. He's crazy.